and welcome to the holiday edition of the show. I'm your host, James. Alongside me, as always, is Mr. Scaredy Pants himself.
Andy.
Today is going to be about a movie genre that gets a lot of bad rap. I mean, not a lot of people like it, but it's got a really huge fan base. So join us on this journey as we become legend of the nerds. Today's topic is all about horror. It is a tough genre to get into. You know, some people like it for the corniness of the movie itself. Some people like it because it actually does scare them all together. So Andy, what about the horror movies that do you like or don't like?
Well, I mean, I've never been a big horror fan. The whole genre of horror movies never been my forte. But if I had to pick one thing I really like about horror movies today, it's that spine-tingling effect that you get from watching some of these movies, like in the Paranormal Activity movies, for instance. You watch those, and it kind of, even when you watch the trailers, they make the trailers very spine-chilling. It feels like someone is pulling your spine out, and you're just like, whew. And that, I think, is what people go to the theaters to see nowadays. Like, the whole slasher films back in the 80s were the way to go.
By slasher films, you'll be talking about Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween.
Exactly.
Those? Okay.
Exactly. Today, it seems like you're getting more of the paranormal movies, the possessions, the demons, the alternate universe kind of thing, movies. And I think, like I said, that's what people want to go and see. They want their spine to tingle because that's what's grabbing their attention. So that's what they want to go see today. And that's, to me, the biggest thing in horror is it makes you scared out of your mind. I don't want to turn the lights off at night.
Now, as a previous employee of Blockbuster, I used to rent a lot of movies, and during Halloween time, we used to rent a lot of horror films. Now, the films that were rented the most weren't actually scary at all. They were the new age slasher films, where people walk into a forest and then there are murderers there. With some weird mask on, or if they're deformed somehow. So I'm not sure why people watch these kind of films, because I have sat down and watched some of these, and I wasn't scared. I actually kind of laughed at them. They weren't
exactly.
They weren't for me. They weren't that good.
They're always the blonde always goes first kind of movies.
Yeah.
They're more of, to me, that movie now. It's got its own genre called gore, and that's with all for instance, the Saw movies. You have
that's a huge one of the Saw movies.
That's what those are, and they're kind of, to me, trying to watch those movies. It's kind of where I don't want to watch it. It's too gory for me.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's all the same. It's like the Final Destinations, for instance, too. People think they may be scary or something. No, to me, it's gore, but it's the same thing.
Here's about some of that. I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually enjoyed the very first Final Destination. The storyline was phenomenal, and it did make you think twice.
And a good
about
cast, good cast, everything like that.
The storyline made you think twice about it, and then they kept cutting more and more movies, and they got kind of off the topic of what Final Destination was really about. Another movie that I only saw the first one was Wrong Turn. It had a great storyline. It made you think. It was a little, gory for my liking.
Yep. But
then they started making, Wrong Turn 2, 3, and 4, and 5.
They're B-rating movies.
It just got lower and lower.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 6 of them, I believe, and I've seen 4. And the first one is like the milestone. It goes to theaters and all that. But after that, they're like, okay, how many of these can we push out?
Right.
That's where I mean they're B-rated movies. They're direct to DVD.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not really going to get a good cast, and you're going to get B-rating effects and everything.
I mean, with these horror movies, we really can't even look at the cast anymore. We could back in the day, but now it doesn't matter who's in the movie. It's all about the storyline and what kind of entertainment it brings to the people. I mean, they even put Chris Hemsworth in a horror movie. Unless you saw it, Cabin in the Woods.
Yes. I've seen that one.
I mean, it wasn't that good. They could have stuck anybody in that movie, but they put Chris in there just to give him more on-screen experience time. And that's all it was for him. Those kind of movies, though, I'm not really down those kind of movies. I personally, when I do want to watch horror, is not very often. When I do, it's more on the thriller slash suspense kind of horror movies. Like you mentioned once, Paranormal Activity. You know, I'm personally not afraid of ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts. But that movie was excellent because of the music and the camera angle they used. So that was more scarier than the actual thought of ghosts.
Well, in those movies, what I think draws people to like them, because it's a different storyline, but it's kind of the same aspect for all of them. I mean, this month, the very last one, Paranormal Activity 6, comes out. And the thing with them is that you know what's going to happen. Like the camera's moving constantly. And you know as it's coming around the corner, something's going to be there or someone's going to get dragged off.
Right.
You know what's going to happen, but it still makes you jump back a little bit. That's what makes the Paranormal Activity movies good, is that you know what's coming, but they still grab you with it.
How many of those have you seen?
I've seen all of them, actually.
You've seen all of them?
I've seen 1 through 5.
How,
actually, 4, I've only seen about half of 4.
How related are they to each movie?
The main character, Katie, she's actually in every single one.
She is? Okay.
Except, I think, for number 3, it's her character's in it, but they're kids.
All right.
So, and I think...
Oh, so it feels like a prequel.
It is a prequel.
Okay, because I only saw the first 2.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I saw the first 2. They're going to keep making more of them. They're probably going to get more lame and lame after that, so I'm just not going to touch them anymore.
What's good with all of them is it's a continuing storyline. So you literally can't say, okay, I'm going to watch this one and then skip a couple and then watch another. It's a great storyline. Like you have one based on one sister, but then you watch 2 and it's based on the other sister giving the spirit to her, and then it just keeps going on and on and on. So the first 2 are actually based in the same timeline, but there's 2 different movies based on the sisters at the same time.
Crazy.
So, but they're spine tingling. That's the thing.
They are. It's the music that does it. It's the music makes it scary. I think that's what does it for that kind of movie.
And that's where, how I was saying earlier, how movies change from the 80s to today, where I don't really feel like the 80s movies are really horror anymore.
Okay.
Halloween, though, on the other hand, to me is still a little spine tingling, the Halloween movie. And it's solely on that music. The da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
That music is like, wow. And you just see Michael Myers' character just standing there.
Right.
I mean, that guy getting cast as Michael Myers, he doesn't have any lines. All they have to say is stand there looking spooky, and he does an amazing job.
Yeah, the music does it for him. Yeah. Old school stuff, I totally agree. You're never going to find anyone that can make a horror movie, write a horror movie, direct one like Wes Craven did. I mean, that guy was just a genius back in the day. He did all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. You know, back in the day, they were really just phenomenal.
And they are, like, I'd say the first 2 or so, to me, like when you see the kid getting sucked through the bed and all that stuff, or just knowing that Freddy gets you in your dreams.
That one thought right there is scary now.
Exactly. After that, though, when they start just trying to pump them out, they kind of were like weird in all sense, where the special effects are horrible. It's like rubber.
Well, only it's because it's because you gotta understand that the premise of the movie is that Freddy comes in through your dreams, and he goes after kids. So as a writer of the movie and director of the movie, like, okay, where are kids dreaming? What are they dreaming of? So I think that's why the movies got a little more weirder and weirder, because they're getting more involved in the psychology of what kids are going through at that age.
Yeah.
And now that, 3 and on, Freddy's well known in the universe, So I think that's what makes the movie interesting to me.
Like I said, I'm still going to be can't say it now. I'm going to speculate on how I feel about those. I mean, like I said, to me, it's like I tell people too, even the Chucky movies, for instance, they were big back then. I think they're hilarious.
Yeah, because, I mean, think about when these movies came out and how old you were. The world has changed and developed so much between then and now. Me, when I grew up, I watched, the Chucky movies when he first came out, and it scared the crap out of me because I had that kind of life-size doll in my room. So I'm like, now I'm sleeping with this life-size doll in my room after watching Chucky. So some of these movies are more not scaring you in the movie, but scaring you after the movie.
Yeah, it's all in the mind of how you're going to relate to it. If I'm going to think this doll is going to come get me, you're going to obviously think that's what's going to happen too. It's like today there's a movie called Annabelle, and just seeing this freaky porcelain glass doll sitting there, and then all of a sudden you turn around and it's missing in the movie, it's like, whew. And it's the same thing even for children. I remember growing up watching Goosebump movies. They did one with the ventriloquist dummies, and they'd run around killing people.
So you grew up watching the movies?
Yeah, I read Goosebump books and watched the movies.
That's interesting. I grew up reading the books and watching the TV show.
Even to today, have you ever watched, it was on Nickelodeon, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I remember that too, yeah.
Back
in the day.
I watch them even still to today, they're still on.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah, and there's some, I watch them now and it's like, they're very corny.
Oh, right.
But then there's some that are like, ooh. So, I mean, it's all about how you take it in.
It is. It really is.
So, let me ask you though, for one movie, since we're talking about genres here of horror especially, Freddy vs. Jason. I remember when that movie came out, it was very popular. Would you consider that horror?
I think you would have to more consider an action movie.
Exactly.
More than anything.
That's really how I took it.
Trying to go kind of thriller action. I mean, thriller is a subcategory of horror. So I think they're trying to go thriller with it. But I think they only came out with that because Alien vs. Predator came out.
Because the whole thing to me in that movie is they're trying to pull out the horror, because you get Jason killing people, but then Freddy's going in dreams.
Yeah.
But it really seemed too action-packed, especially at the fight at the end.
It was. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have, Freddy versus Jason versus Mike,
Exactly.
I mean, they could have, I'm surprised they just keep going with that. They could have easy.
I really heard thought they were going to do Freddy vs. Jason 2, because they leave it, he's carrying Freddy's head out and he smiles at you.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
they kind of set it up, but one was good enough.
Yeah. I think of these older movies that we're talking about. I find it interesting how a lot of the actors these days, that came to start. I mean, look at Johnny Depp's career now.
It's true.
He rarely touches horror. But I remember one of my first scenes, ever seen him in, he was maybe 12, 13 in the very first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, where he was sucked through a bed. That one scene of just Johnny, it always stuck in my brain. Another movie is the Halloween movies.
Yep.
Where I think, honestly, that's where Jamie Lee Curtis made her career.
Do you know another big name actor who was a young teenage star in the Halloween movies was?
In the Halloween movies?
Yep. It's a male. It's an actor.
No.
Paul Rudd.
Oh.
He was in.
Yes.
In I think 2 of them.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember watching that. I'm like, oh my God, look how young he is.
Yeah, it's fascinating what parts that these people take just to get their foot into the door in Hollywood. And horror movies is probably one of the easiest doors to get into. So I think that's how they did it.
Yeah. And to me, what they're doing with the Halloween movies today, or as I'm putting it now, thriller movies, trying to remake them.
Yeah.
To me, it's seeming like maybe a waste. Some people do like them. I'll admit, like the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street was very horrible to me.
It was terrible.
Where Freddy's like a janitor.
It was terrible.
Freddy a janitor and more of a pedophile.
It was terrible.
The remake of Friday the 13th wasn't bad, but it's not the original, I noticed. Because like Jason's in a barn and all that stuff. That's actually coming from the 2nd or 3rd Friday the 13th movie. So it's like you're not really remaking it. Right. I hear next year they come out with the original Friday the 13th, where it's Jason's mother. And Rob Zombie's taking over Halloween movies. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm just not really big into them. Another one actually trying to make a comeback, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
They keep
They keep
doing it.
making it. They keep remodeling
The
it.
only remake I really enjoyed was the one with Jessica Biel. It came out in like 2006.
Really,
Yeah, I thought that they did a good job on that, but
I feel that, in my opinion, if it's an old movie, classic movie like Friday the 13th, Elm Street, the Halloweens, they shouldn't even touch them. They should not remake them at all.
Yep.
Just leave them alone. They're fantastic the way they are. Don't try to revamp them. Leave them alone.
and even with Chucky, for instance, how I say I considered it funny. Like 10 years later, they started doing like Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
they're not remaking it, but they're adding on, and to me, just horrible. I can stand the first couple Chucky movies. After that, it's just
One of my favorite Chucky
why
movies.
do it?
I think it's Chucky 3. Where he goes to the kid boot camp.
Yep.
That was a good one.
If I had to pick, it's 1 and 2 because it's like a continuation story.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
I mean what scared people about that movie was it was all voodoo. That was a movie based on voodoo.
Yeah.
Voodoo and a killer doll. So they took that concept like that and made I liked them. I thought they did a good job with
they're
that
not
concept.
bad. They're not bad. It's just like I said, 80s stuff to me is not scary.
Okay, how
But it was back then.
this movie is, I don't know why it's classified in the genre of comedy, but Gremlins.
I'd consider that funny.
You would?
I think those are hilarious.
See, that's so weird because
It might have been a horror back then.
yeah, for me when that movie came out, I must have been like maybe 8 or something, and my parents wouldn't let me watch it past a certain time because
gore in it.
It was a freaky movie.
It is. My first time watching it, I'm like, oh, wow.
Now, I'll tell you what, the second one was funny.
I think the whole thing why they consider it hilarious is the gremlins themselves constantly laughing and like they'll fart or they'll blow up and stuff like that. And
But it wasn't like a funny laughter. It was a creepy laughter.
yeah, but it's like they're having a party almost.
That's because they are.
No, it's just funny. And you always got little Esmo or Ismo or whatever his name is.
Gizmo.
Gizmo, there you go.
Gizmo.
Always hiding and cowering kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean,
How this one? Because I've heard a conversation about this on a podcast one time. They were talking about horror stuff and Ghostbusters. What do you think they were shooting for Ghostbusters? Do you think when they came out with that movie they wanted it to be a horror movie, or do you think they just wanted it to strictly be a comedy?
I think it was strictly supposed to be comedy, but there are some parts in there. It's like, oof.
Yeah.
Like when
The
they're
second one with the painting.
yeah, or even is it the first one where they're possessed at the end or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in that kind of movie there, that could be almost like a horror comedy almost.
And I guess you could classify that as Gremlins too, to me.
Yeah. I mean, Gremlins was a little darker and a little scarier than Ghostbusters, but Ghostbusters could be a horror movie. It could be. Any other kind of movies you've seen back in the day, come out now, that you'd classify as one thing, but it should be a horror, or it's classified as a horror now, but you think it should be something else?
I really can't. I think we really did most of them. The only other one I can think of is Jason Takes New York. I think it's like the 9th Friday the 13th where he goes to New York
Right.
City. And that's where I think he gets the chainsaw or an axe or something like that.
It's a chainsaw, yeah.
Yeah, to me it wasn't really a horror. It was more of gore action.
Right.
So
No, I've talked about this already. Predator.
that's not scary.
Think Predator's scary?
No, that to me is action. That's all.
But,
maybe a little thriller or suspense in it.
Okay. The second one, definitely not. But the first one, in the jungle, that could be kind of freaky.
I mean, even it's not really freaky, but the new Predator was, or the Alien vs Predators, I thought was not scary, but it's like, oof, what the?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I never actually saw it.
It's more of the little aliens, not the big aliens that have the second mouth thing.
Right.
It's these little pods that actually impregnate you first.
Really?
Yeah, those are. I mean, they just come flying at you, and it's like almost a little 3D action coming
Huh.
towards the screen. So.
I got a big issue with them, remaking movies that are trying to revamp movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. It's like they're old and they're great for a reason.
Yeah, because
Don't try to continue their fame.
they tried to redo Predators, just calling it Predator or Predators or something like that, where they go to the Predator planet, for instance.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, or it's a hunting planet. They just suck up different species and throw them all on a planet and hunt them.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, it's a new movie. It's not
Huh.
new. It's like 2009, 10, something around there.
Okay. So I know they're
got
trying
Lawrence-
to revamp Aliens
Yeah.
with Prometheus, and the sequel's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a prequel towards the Alien movies. And I'm not sure if you saw Prometheus
I
or
thought
not.
Prometheus was a prequel to The Thing,
No,
because I know they redid that too.
no, it's supposed to be Aliens.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And it was not very good.
Yeah, because the new Predators had like Lawrence Fishburne in it. I forget the guy's name, but he was in King Kong. He was the one saving Jane.
Jack Black's character?
No,
Or Adrian Brody?
there you go, Brody.
Adrian Brody?
Yep, he's in
Yeah.
it. So
See, there's an actor. Here's a good thing to talk about. Actors. Some actors are meant to be in horror. Some are not, right?
Mhm.
Adrian Brody's got a face who should be in horror. He would make a killing in that. Because have you seen Splice?
sounds familiar.
He plays a scientist who learned to splice alien DNA with human DNA. Yeah, it turned to be a kind of a horror thriller kind of movie.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is interesting how some actors should be there, some not. Like Robert Englund,
Freddie.
Freddy. I mean, I've only seen him playing horror parts,
Mhm.
and he's just done phenomenal. I couldn't imagine sitting down and watching, like 2.5 Men with starring him.
He's in even the B-rated horror movies.
Yeah.
There's a movie I remember watching called Zombie Stripper.
Okay, yeah.
It had its funny moments, but it's a really B, maybe even C-rated movie, and he's like
it's a B-rated
he's
horror
like the
movie.
owner of the club and everything like
Right.
that, and but he has that face where it's like, oh my god, I got to rent the movie because he's in it. So, but I agree with you. There are some people that have just portray that genre of movie,
Yeah,
and he is one of them.
You don't like him at all, right? You know horror movie at all. I'm in it. If I want to watch a horror movie, I want to get scared. But I know a lot of people watch it because of the corny B-rated side of horror films, which I think that's where Hollywood's gonna make a killing by continue making these B-rated gore, as you called it before, horror films.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a great startup. Mid show, Andy, it is our favorite time of the show.
Top 5.
Is our top 5. This week we're gonna do. It's gonna be kind of a weird topic. It's top 5 monsters from horror films, but it's pretty much when we watch a movie, what scares us in a movie
Exactly. It could
the
be,
most.
It could be a monster. It could be a person. It could be an element. It could be
Yes, exactly. It
anything.
could be anything. So, why don't you start us off?
Well, mine is the one horror movies, actually, it's a trilogy, I believe, that I can never watch.
Okay.
I've only watched about half of the first one, and I will never, ever in my entire life watch the entire films of these movies. And it's The Grudge. Have you ever watched The Grudge or heard of
I
it?
saw the first one.
Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Gellar,
Yes.
yep.
And they're in Japan and everything. There's a lot in Japan about spirits and ghosts
Okay.
over there. And it's just, The Grudge is these black demon
It's a demon movie. Yes.
Yeah,
it's
but
a demon movie.
And the demon looks Japanese. It looks like a
Yep.
person and everything. But it's what it does. It always makes that noise.
Okay.
And it's just spine tingling, and it's
Yeah.
always dark. And there's a scene where this girl is under a bed, and she hears the noise. She lifts the sheets, and there's the spirit, and it just sucks her right up, and nothing. It's just those movies to me. Everything about it, I literally cannot. And I may seem like a scaredy pants just talking about this, but there's just something about that noise. It's not even the spirits itself. It's that noise. And we talked about that earlier. It's the music or the noise effects. That there's just something about it where I cannot be in the room.
So your top 5 is demons, or is it the music?
I'll say it's the demon itself.
Okay, the demon itself. Okay.
Yes, we'll go with
All
that. My number 2 is the paranormal in the. Oh, sorry. The Grudge was my number 1. Usually I start with number
Oh
5.
no!
I wrote them the
Okay.
wrong way. So,
All right, all
so
right.
let me just do 1 through 5 being the fact we started.
Sounds good. All right.
My number 2 would have been Paranormal Activity. His name is Toby. He is the spirit that is in every single movie, who's always grabbing people, dragging them through, killing them, everything. And what gets even creepier now, in number 6 that comes out in a couple weeks, is we've never been able to see him. He's an invisible spirit, but the girls can talk to him. Like in the prequel, they'll be like, the parents will be like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just talking to my friend Toby." You get to see Toby in number 6.
So, number 2 is spirit or ghost.
I can't classify him. I mean,
Well, it's paranormal activity, right?
yeah.
So it's a ghost story. So we'll just say ghost.
He's a demon. No, he's a demon. That's right. They classify him as a demon in the movie because
Okay.
the grandmother summons him.
All right.
He's a demon.
But your number 1 is demon.
I didn't think it only had to be one. I'm talking about
All right.
certain
All right.
things
No,
from the movie.
We'll go with it. I know.
It was
I'm
a hard.
understanding where you're going with it.
It's a hard subject.
It is a hard subject.
Being the fact that I don't watch many ghost movies or anything like that, it was hard
Right.
to come up with it.
Exactly, and that's why I did this. I want to be tricky for us.
So we might not even have a combination. Just
I hope not.
So, my number 3 would have been Michael Myers. The character of Michael Myers.
Okay,
You understand where I'm trying to go with this or something?
keep going.
He's just,
Please.
to this day, him just standing there, he just has something about the look that makes you kind of jump back.
Cringe.
Yes.
Gotcha.
The number 4 would have been, I guess, it's hard to explain this now.
Well, keep going. You're doing fine.
It's just being possessed. Something like a
Perfect. No,
could be a-
possession.
yeah,
Possession. Gotcha.
All those movies where you're possessed and like I was told in The Exorcism, for instance,
Okay.
the girl where her head goes around and everything, and then her
Yeah.
body lifts up.
That's creepy, right?
Exactly. But my number 5 is the human aspect, where it's. I guess I can say
You're good. You're good.
it's based off a true story. For instance, have you ever watched the movie The Strangers,
I think so.
where they're just dressed up and they're slaughtering this family in this house?
So cults.
Yeah, could be cult. I like a cult factor. I mean,
Okay.
even in the
Perfect.
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies are based off true events.
Right.
And something like that, the thought of someone being able, so sadistic, to be able to do things like that is kind of freaky. So,
No, absolutely.
I mean, it was a hard subject for me
It's
to
a hard
try to
subject.
figure out.
You
but
did a good job. You gave me good ideas. It's good. I understand. I understand what you're saying with it.
Okay.
Was cult your number 1 kind of thing?
No, because I went 1 through
5.
5. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
I wrote them
Cult
down.
was 5.
I wrote them down on my list here differently for some reason.
That's fine.
You can start wherever you want.
All right. I'm gonna start number 5, and you work my way up.
Okay.
Okay. So, number 5, I have vampires,
Okay.
and I'm not talking about our Twilight crap movie. I'm talking about a real vampire movie.
A Dracula.
I'm talking about like Interview with a Vampire,
Okay.
where you watch the movie and it just feels so real. The storytelling in this movie, it felt like it could have been a true story. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of fear in vampire movies is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know, they stick to the rules and the laws of vampirism because they do not sparkle. Right?
True.
I've had a conversation
Have little
at
makeout
my
sessions
old job.
and all that.
I've had it's come to my old job where this guy tried to defend Twilight movie with how they sparkle, and I just want nothing to do with it.
I've never seen that anywhere else. That's the thing.
Exactly. It's some European thing about how vampires sparkle. I don't get it. But with vampires, it's Interview with a Vampire. It's, even Dracula, the old school Dracula movie, you know? His slow movement and the realism of it is what I'm talking about. Number 4, witchcraft. Witchcraft. It's not witches itself. It's the thought of witchcraft that's scary. And the movie about this I'm talking about is The Craft.
Yep.
That kind of movie where it's just 4 normal girls. You have no idea who they really are on the side. So I guess you could actually dip this with kind of your cult kind of thing, you know? Where on the side you don't know them, they are creating spells. They're just, you know, scaring the crap out of.
Summoning things.
Exactly, you know. So it's that kind of fear in witchcraft where it could happen, you know, and you don't know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of surprise scare. Number 3, you said it too, but you didn't really know how to describe it.
Yeah.
But you did good when you said Michael Myers. It is the human aspect that really scares the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's nothing special about them. There's nothing nifty. They don't have supernatural powers. They're just crazy humans.
Sadistics.
They're just crazy humans. And right now, I'm actually watching a horror show.
Okay.
I'm watching Supernatural.
Yep.
I am in love with this show right now. It is just phenomenal. And one of the lead characters is Dean Winchester. And he quoted in the show, "I can deal with ghosts and demons, but humans are just too nuts for me." That tells you something. Where ghosts can kill you, demons can summon and possess you, he can deal with that. Humans, he wants nothing to do with. Absolutely nothing. And what I'm talking about is, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
He was human. He was just crazy, right? Here's one that you thought you would know. Jacob Goodnight from See No Evil.
Yep.
He's just a human who was just raised crappy, right?
Exactly.
And it's just that kind of human aspect that scares me because it could be anybody. You walk down the street, that person could be crazy and just do something.
You want a good example? Psycho. What's his name?
Yeah, Christian Bale. No, that's American Psycho. But that was a good one too.
Yeah. What's the character's name in Psycho though?
Are we talking about the
hotel. They own the motel.
of a Hitchcock movie?
Yeah, like he talks to his mother and all that stuff up in the giant house.
Oh yeah.
Bates, Norman Bates.
Norman Bates. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
That to me.
Bates Motel.
Yeah,
Psycho.
but the Psycho movies
Okay.
at the Bates Motel, that right there, that proves your the whole human aspect thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just driving down the road, stop at a hotel, a little motel, and he's some average guy, but he's talking to his dead mother. She's telling him to kill people, and
Yeah.
he keeps her dead corpse up in a room.
It's the human aspect that's crazy.
Mhm.
Number 2, I am personally not afraid of it, but as I look around, a lot of people are. I've had a conversation with my boss at work. She is petrified of it. I'm talking about the paranormal activities of the world, where people think they see something that's not really there. That's what scares people the most, I think.
Which we'll get into that later, a little later.
Definitely will get into that earlier or later on. Now, this does scare me. I will not watch them. I don't want anything to do with them. I won't own them.
Sounds like my number
And
one.
I am talking about anything that has to do with spiders in a movie.
There you go.
The one that really creeped me out the most was Kingdom of the Spiders.
Then why'd you watch it?
Because my wife told me it was a fantastic movie and William Shatner's in it.
That's like I saw a movie on the shelf once at Blockbuster. It's like Ice Age Spiders or something it was called. I can't remember. And on the cover, it's just these giant spiders and ice and everything. I'm like, yeah, I just want to watch that.
Spiders are creepy, especially when they come in numbers.
You know,
Remember Arachnophobia?
yes, and I don't want
Scarred
to.
for life.
That's like saying, okay, I'm going to watch Survivor, for instance, and not expect them to show a spider in any scene.
Yeah.
They always do.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a game show, but we're going to show you these big-bellied spiders.
Yeah. The only one I could really think of a spider movie that I could maybe tolerate is Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah.
You
None
ever
of
see
them,
that movie?
yeah, none of them do anything for me.
It was kind of a horror comedy movie
So
with David Arquette.
You telling me you make your wife kill the spiders in the house?
No, because she will catch them and release them.
That's what my dad does.
I'm coming in with the biggest shoe I can find.
There'll be a big spider on the door,
And a Captain America shield.
like a big-bellied spider on the door. My mom's like, "Did you kill it?" "No, I set it free." "Why? Now it's gonna come back."
Big bellied? I mean, it's pregnant. It's going to come back with a lot more. It's going to come back with family. But there's my top 5 of horror monsters or anything that really scares the human being, especially myself, with spider movies. Now, this should be pretty easy to combine for these things because most of them are the same. I think we both agree that spider movies are really creepy and
would-
want nothing to do with them.
I would put a spider one on there. I don't think it would be a number one.
You don't think spider movie number one?
No, because if it's something I can step on, I'm good.
Yeah? Step on 100 of them at once.
That's what a flamethrower comes in handy.
Yeah, when they're all coming all around
You
you.
know the funny thing in those is, someone always tries to shoot him with a gun.
Yeah, right.
It's like, really? You got like 8 bullets in a gun.
A guy with a shotgun is shooting at the floor with him.
It's like, oh, Jesus. See, yours are specific. Mine are just, it's all over the place.
Well, here's what I took notes on yours.
We both
Here's
have
what
the
you
human
have.
aspect.
Here's what you have. You have demons, humans, possessions, and cults. That is, I broke down your top 5 like that.
Well, even the cult thing, to me, is more the human aspect. So your human aspect and mine, I think, are about the same.
Right.
I mean, I had it at 5. You had it at 3. Could say it could go in the middle at 4.
Well, honestly, what's popping up number 1? Human aspect. It really is a freaky thing, and it could be the most scariest thing on the planet.
I really,
Dean Winchester even told me that.
it's true. I really think the whole paranormal aspect today is the scariest thing.
You think most people are scared of
Exactly.
paranormal more than anything?
Exactly.
I'm personally not afraid of it, but I don't speak for the entire planet. So if you think it should be,
I do.
I think we should do that.
I do.
So we're going to do the paranormal activity number 1. Let's put humans at number 2, because that is really some scary stuff.
Humans at 2.
Instead of spider movies, let's think like maybe some sort of like, I don't want to say insect, because anything with a snake can be pretty freaky too.
Yeah, like the Anaconda movies are kind of.
Well, the first one. Yeah, those would be pretty scary too at times. And I hate snakes because they shouldn't move.
I don't know how you classify it. That's
I don't know. Maybe like the animal.
Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Even though snakes and spiders aren't animals.
Well, they're part of the animal kingdom. They're insects and arachnids.
Could say the non-humans, I guess.
The non-human.
I'd just really put insects.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Insects is fine. Insect / snake. We'll do that as number, 3?
That's 3.
All right. I think possession should be on this list.
Oh, definitely.
Because that was a really good thought. That's a really good thought in that. Because possession you break down as like demons as well. So we can do that. And I kind of like witchcraft, number 5. Witchcraft can be a fake but scary thing too.
Well, look at the Blair Witch Project.
Good point.
When that came out, nobody wanted to go in the forest.
The first one. That was a good point, yep.
So, yep.
And plus, there's a lot of stories about witchcraft too, back in the day, I mean.
Salem.
Yeah, Salem, exactly.
Salem and Sleepy Hollow, for
Yeah.
instance, in New York.
Yep.
So
when you go ahead and review our top 5.
So there we are, our top 5. At number 1, we have witchcraft. It's a freaky thing. Number 4, we have being possessed. Those demons either dragging you around or just,
Twisting your head around.
yeah, going inside your bodies, make you do some freaky things. Number 4, those creepy spiders over there. Whew, those, or even the snakes.
Man, I don't want
can't
nothing
get rid
to
of
do with
them.
that.
So,
Like Indiana Jones and that style, snakes.
exactly.
Why'd it have to be snakes?
Number 2, though, is very horrifying. It's the human aspect. Any of you out there, we're talking about you. You could be the human aspect.
Them. You got that.
Could be you, too.
Could be. I doubt it, but it could be.
You're walking home tonight. But number 1, it's probably right now, today, the biggest thing people are scared of the most, and that is the paranormal activity out there.
Right.
But, again, tell us your top 5, because we want to hear from you.
We always do. And we're getting more hits on that Facebook every day.
Exactly.
Because of top 5 of this. So.
Exactly. And I really think this is one of those topics where...
The X-Men was a good one, too.
Exactly. But this topic right here is one where you can just go outside the box. Tell us anything freaky. So.
Right. Now let's focus on the true meaning of horror and being scared. And I'm not talking about scared. I'm talking about being truly afraid. And it can be anything between your environment, things you run into, it could be things you watch, things that just go in your head all the time. What really scares you the most, Andy?
The biggest thing to me I am deathly afraid of, and this is why to today I have not gone up in a plane. I am scared of heights. I am a big guy. Big people keep their feet on the ground. I can say I've climbed ladders and scaffolding too, and the problem is when you're deathly afraid of something, in your mind it seems much worse than what it is. So if I go 20 feet up in the air, it may seem like 100.
Isn't that weird? I am absolutely on the same boat as you. I hate heights. At the hotel I work at, there is a catwalk on the second floor.
Yep.
It's just one floor up, and I cannot get to the balcony and look down. It looks like it's just 10,000 feet down.
If you've ever seen Pretty Woman, for instance,
Where are you going with this, Andy?
what's his name? Richard Gere in it. He won't go out on the balcony.
Oh,
For instance,
yeah.
he's like, no, I'm scared of heights, and he
Yeah.
will not take one step. I had a field trip in eighth grade to Montreal to Olympic Stadium, the baseball stadium, and they have a glass elevator that goes like sideways all the way up,
Ooh.
and you can see over everything.
I'm good.
It's a fully glass elevator. No, if I can see
good.
underneath my feet, no, thank you. I was the only one that didn't go on that elevator.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So, other than that, needles. There's just something about a needle to me. It's just oof.
Don't be
Like
afraid.
acupuncture. Ooh.
Goku absolutely hates needles too.
This is true.
He will fight the strongest person in the universe, but you show him a needle, he is hightailing it out of there.
Next was our top 5. Spiders.
Spiders.
I kill them and all that, and I see them crawling around, but you just see even the smallest little spider just crawling up the wall. Something makes me go, ooh.
One-on-one, okay. You get them multiplied, I am gone. Like, you know that story in Australia? The flying spiders?
Ugh.
There were raining spiders down
Have you ever
there.
seen the ones in Afghanistan, the pictures they take?
Yeah, I was there last week.
You have to, well, no. Well, I've had 2 cousins that have gone over. So
Okay.
literally every night over there in Iraq and Afghanistan, they have to check their boots because
Oh.
there's spiders in there that are this big.
Oof.
There was a picture taken of 2 of them fighting about this long.
Oh, I'm good.
It's like, really? But my very last one, obviously, is those dang Grudge movies. I'm sorry, I'm not watching them.
You're
There
good
we
with the
go.
demons, huh?
Yep. So those are some of the things I'm definitely scared of. The spider though thing is one-on-one. Yeah, suck them up with
Yeah.
the vacuum cleaner. I'm good.
Yeah, but you get them multiplied, man. They are outnumber you.
You get some of the
Good.
big-bellied ones too. It's like, oof,
You don't want to
that
deal with
that
that.
you step on and they go. It's like, ugh.
I can deal with a daddy long leg. I can deal with that.
Well, apparently, daddy longleg's
okay.
not classified as a spider, so I mean, it's not an arachnid. It's got 8 legs, but it's creepy and crawly.
It's still creeping crawling.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
So,
Exactly right.
anything you're deathly scared of other than those, or?
No, I mean, I don't really. Fear is weird.
Yep.
Being scared and being feared is a strange topic because it's all psychology. It's all really in your head.
It's a lot of what you were scared of too when you were a kid. If you were taught to be scared of something, it's gonna
Yeah.
stick with you.
Yeah. I don't know how I became afraid of heights. I don't know how that thought got in my head. But now it's just imprinted in my brain,
Same here.
and that's all I can. I mean, have you ever tried to beat it?
I have. I've tried to climb scaffolding and stuff,
Yeah.
and I've gotten probably a couple feet off the ground, and I'm like, nah, I can't.
Every time I see
You
a
can
ladder,
feel your heart beating.
if I'm at work and it's like something I do on a ladder, I'll be the first one to do it because I know it's all in my head. This fear of heights is in my head, and I try and fight it. It just stays there. I don't know how to fight it.
Yep. I don't even go on roller coasters or anything or Ferris wheels. They're just
Here's what's weird. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I love roller coasters. I learned that if I can control my element, I am afraid of it. If I'm not in control of it, I'm fine. I'll jump on a roller coaster. I'll do loopy-loops. I'll do barrel rolls. I'll hang upside down for 2 seconds while it goes back down. I'm fine. I'm not afraid because I'm not in control. If I'm in control of myself, I'm afraid.
well, then for your birthday, you're going bungee jumping. Then.
No, because I can control myself from jumping off or not. I just find that really fascinating how that kind of thing can control that or not.
Mhm.
I'm always afraid though. I don't know why, because it's just in your head. Ghosts, a lot of people are afraid of ghosts. Me, I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm not afraid of the dark. I know there's nothing there.
See, I believe there's something there, but I'm not really like I'm scared of it. In the movies, for instance, it stays in my head a little bit.
Right.
But it's like, okay, it's the dark. I can walk in the dark. Like
Yeah.
growing up, for instance, I helped out family on a farm out in the country, and my little cousins were scared running from the house
Right.
to the farm, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm casually walking. I had a pitchfork if anything's coming out.
Oh no. Okay.
But for me, it just seems like you see some horror movies, for instance, and people are running and scared. Stop and kick it in the balls. Just kick it.
Yeah.
So
I just,
it's hard though, because if it actually we say this now, but if something actually happened,
how would you react?
how would you react? And you can't say that's how I'm going to react.
No.
Because in the right there in that time, you don't know.
That one thing kicks into everybody, and it does 4 different things, I think. That's adrenaline. Once your adrenaline kicks in, that is what happens. You know, it's like, what happens when your adrenaline kicks in? Do you scared and run, or is all the fear gone from your head?
Yeah.
You know, so that's how, for me, that's how fear goes. Now I want to finish up by talking about how we all take advantage of fear with haunted houses, corn mazes, things like that. Even like Fright Fest. There's one festival. It's like a Comic-Con, and it's pretty much, you know, you go, you listen to music, you watch movies, you can buy horror decor there. So all that stuff is fascinating. How we can love this genre, not be afraid of it, but be afraid of it at the same time.
It's definitely a huge moneymaker. That's the thing. Like you said, we can be afraid of it, but then you can go out and buy something that is the same. Like, you're deathly scared of spiders, but I can go out and buy toy spiders and throw them at people or something.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's the whole horror genre is a weird subject. That's the problem.
It is. It's a tough subject between the movies, and I honestly like the TV show aspect of horror stuff. And I do the movies 8 times a week. If you're Supernatural, you're Walking Dead, I find the storylines a lot more interesting because it's not in a long hour-and-a-half process. You get to take it in increments of an hour to 40 minutes. Yeah, anything else you want to talk about?
Well,
Any
I
other
mean,
horror stuff, Halloween stories?
there's always those typical stories or people consider true things that are happening. And obviously, us being from Vermont, I thought the best was to be, what are some of the scariest things about the state? The stories or the locations. And the biggest one to me is a place up in Stowe. It's called Emily's Bridge. And I remember hearing this when I was younger. Apparently there was this love-struck girl who her boyfriend left her. They were supposed to get married. And it's unclear on how she died, but the two ways that she might have died that they said were she either ran her carriage off a rocky bank and into the river where this bridge was and died, or they say she hung herself from the rafters.
Okay.
It's still unclear how she died. But to today, people say there's this paranormal stuff that goes on where people drive their cars through the bridge, and it's one of these like covered wooden bridges. So like you're inside, and it's still creepy.
Right.
The spiders and the cobwebs, all that. And they come out, and there's scratches on the cars, or people feel being grabbed or scratched at in their car, and it is typically towards men. And they say they've heard, if you walk through the bridge, like after midnight, they either hear footsteps, screams, or even ropes dangling.
Let me quickly ask you this before we end the show here. Now, do people know about the story before they go on the bridge, or after they go on the bridge?
This I cannot tell you.
Because if they know about it before the bridge, it's all psychological. It's all in your head. You're expecting the unexpected.
All I know is this is one of the big ones in this state, and there have been those paranormal hunters and stuff like that all throughout the world that have actually come here and tried to do tests on the bridge, and they've found some freaky stuff.
Of course he did.
I know, they always do.
That's how you get ratings.
Some of my others were UVM actually brings old buildings onto sites all the time where people
Okay.
have died and everything, and people have said they've heard noises and everything. In Brattleboro, there's a mental institution
Yep.
that was built by the patients way back when, and this tower I think is closed today, but and it's still a mental institution. People have seen ghosts, people falling off the tower and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is all on how you take it.
Right.
You could be scared of it, you could not be.
Right.
I can't judge you on that. So,
It's all about what your head tells you, I think.
exactly. But with that, it's that time of the show where we got to say goodbye.
Right. But first, before you say goodbye, guys, it is Halloween coming up real soon, if next couple of days, I think. So be safe out there. Watch your kids in the roads. And check that candy, just in case. Because the human aspect out there
Exactly.
of crazy people, you never know what you're going to find in there.
Exactly.
Andy, why don't you close this out?
Oh yeah, well it's that time of the show, like I said. But remember, we're always with you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can watch all of our episodes on Facebook and YouTube. Just go on our YouTube page at Legends of the Nerds, subscribe, or go to Facebook at Legends of the Nerds and like us and follow us.
That's right.
So with that being said, happy Halloween, and remember, stay nerdy.